Okay, so we're talking about the staffing shortage here in Fairfax County. What's your operational vacancy at the Fairfax County Police Department?
So the raw number of vacancies we have on our police department is 132. And I like to give exact numbers because they're important. Our authorized strength with sworn is 1,492. We're 132 short of our authorized strength, and we're determined to continue to keep catching back up. And I'm really proud of the fact that for the last several police academy classes, we've averaged between 42 and 63 recruits per academy class. Regionally, we're leading in the effort to recruit post-COVID, because we're still in that post-COVID moment. But I'm proud of the fact that we're putting in the largest police academy classes that we've put in over a decade. They're diverse. We're doing really well with recruiting women to our profession. Our goal is to fill our academy classes with 30% women by the year 2030. It's a national commitment that police chiefs have made, and we've enjoyed academy classes up to 37% women over the last couple of years on a couple of occasions. So there's a lot to be done in the recruiting world, and I think we're doing a great job, and we got to continue to do well with recruits. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have to retain people.
So, talking about retainment, I think the last time you and I spoke in 2022, you said there were a large number of resignations. Is that still the case?
We'll get resignations. We're back to getting more retirements than resignations. Any police chief is alarmed when resignations outpace retirements. So we've flipped that. There are now more retirements than resignations, which kind of goes with the normal flow of a person's career. I think last time we also talked about the fact that we have a lot of cops who are at the retirement eligibility point in their careers who came on in the mid-1990s. In the mid-1990s, there was a line out the door and around the corner of people who wanted to be cops. So it was a great time for police departments like ours to hire. So now those police officers are simply just eligible to retire. I think one thing that's hopefully going to keep some of our senior folks around is the fact that the Police Benevolent Association just negotiated a really good contract with the county, and our starting pay is back up to the top tier in the region, as it should be, and hopefully that's going to keep some senior cops around, because I never want to just talk about the recruits. They're important. They're the future. But the now and the present is keeping the cops that are here doing a great job every day.
The last time you and I spoke, police pay was a big factor, I think, for a lot of folks. Another one was the personnel emergency or staffing shortage that was announced. Is that still in effect right now? The elimination of 3 shifts to 2 and new start and end times.
It is. My goal is to get back to that 3rd shift in a modified way as soon as we can. Right now we have 2 shifts as opposed to 3. Officers have more days off in a calendar year with 2 shifts, but they're working longer shifts. And I realize the impact that has on the work-life balance. And young police officers value their time off. We all should, but the younger ones do. And we're pushing to not only occupy our Lorton District Station, which is open but not yet fully staffed, and to return in a modified way as soon as we can, hopefully this year, to some semblance of a 3rd shift.
And at that time, I think some officers fear the police shortage may increase with longer hours. Do you think that's been the case since then?
I think initially the longer hour, and it's 1 hour, but we're talking about a 12.5-hour tour of duty. And that's a lot for a police officer to work. So the impact of that was real, and there's no doubt about it. We were just in a position then, and we remain in a position now, that we aren't quite where we need to be to go fully back to a 3rd shift. That's why I want to do it in a modified way. So some of our district stations will return to a modified 3rd shift before others will return to it. So we want to do it incrementally. The last thing I want to do is go back to a 3rd shift and say, sorry, we did that too fast, we got to go back to 2. So it's something that I think about every day.
Let's start walking this way. We'll walk back to the camera. So we've talked about police pay in the past being a challenge. We've talked about recruitment just nationally being a challenge, retainment as well, the profession getting tough, especially out of COVID. We've heard from officers who were also concerned about the Commonwealth's attorney's prosecutorial philosophy, the catch and release mindset that the Attorney General has talked about. Do you think that's had an impact on the officers here, morale-wise, or even them deciding to go to other departments?
Well, as I look back on my own career, there have been times where, as a patrol officer and as a narcotic detective, that I've been frustrated that justice didn't always look exactly like what I thought it should look like. So I think that's something that police departments here and elsewhere have struggled with for a long time. But I know that detectives and police officers put their heart and soul into doing the best they can to make communities and neighborhoods safe. So sometimes there is a frustration that accountability isn't happening in a way that not only our police officers and detectives expect it to happen, but more importantly, our community. So I interact with folks throughout Fairfax County on a regular basis, and the way they see justice, and it's important because we want to police in a way that's consistent with our community's expectations, is they want us to be fair. They believe in second chances, and so do I. But when you hurt people, when you harm people, when you kill people, when you carjack, when you stick guns in people's faces, and when you sexually assault people, the consequence has to fit the seriousness of the crime. So I'll continue to encourage all of my partners in the criminal justice system to pay attention to that. Consequences have to be something that is real and something that our community feels, to include our police community, because I think we're part of the community.
Mr. Descano has said in the past that a tough-on-crime approach has failed. Do you agree with that?
My experience in 33 years of doing this job in many places, 4 different places, all regional, is that when accountability exists for people who commit violent crimes and harm other people and harm communities, that makes for safer outcomes for everyone. So I'm not sure what tough on crime really means. If tough on crime means holding someone accountable when they hurt others, then we need to be tough on crime. If tough on crime means that everyone needs to go to jail for 20 years for stealing a candy bar, no. And I think the community intuitively knows the difference between the two. Again, I believe in second chances. I believe in redemption. I believe in returning offenders having the ability to get a job and be a healthy contributing member of the community. But again, my caveat in all of this is, if you harm other people, if you sexually assault, if you are engaged in domestic violence, if you carjack, if you carry a gun, if you rob, there has to be a consequence that the community can look at and say, the consequence fits the seriousness of the crime. So we need to all endeavor to do better with that.
One last question for you. The 130 or so vacancy number, does that include the academy class, or is that, does it not include it?
It does, and it has everywhere I've been. So the moment you put on this uniform, whether you're a recruit officer in the academy for 6 months or whether you work at headquarters in my office, we count you as a Fairfax County police officer. So 132 is the lowest we've seen in a few years. That's good news, but we've got 132 to go.
And then how big's the academy class?
The one that starts on Monday is 50 recruit officers.
50, got it.
Yeah.